Artist Talk. One-on-one conversation, 30 minutes of pure entertainment with musicians, writers, and actors to motivators, chefs, and even rappers to up-and-comings with the it factor. It's the Jazzie K Ward coming at ya. Have fun, some smiles, a few laughs. Tune in, chime in, sit back, relax. Have fun, some smiles, a few laughs.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jazzie K Ward. This is Jazzie After Dark Artist Talk. I hope you guys had a great weekend. As I say each time on the show, I always look forward to the weekend, but I always look forward to Monday, being able to come and spend a little time with you. I welcoming me into your homes, your cars, wherever you are. Now, if you're watching me in the car and you have your phone, please, watch out on the road. Be safe, okay? But I'm so glad to see each and every one of you. I had last week, I went on a vacation. I went to the beach. It was beautiful, y'all. I just kind of hung out, I unwind a little bit, listened to some great music. I just enjoy the water. Don't you, when you're on the beach, don't you like listening to the waves, the sound of the waves and the ocean? And, I was listening to some music. I was listening to our guest that is here on the show tonight. That's right. And so we have Bassist. We have, he's a songwriter. He's a musician, and he definitely has that it factor. And if you don't know Roberto, Vally, as we say on the show, hashtag shame on you. We have Chef D is in the house. Dr. G she's somewhere in the house, y'all. She's somewhere hanging out. But I'm super excited. I'm ready to go ahead and kick off the show. Don't forget to go over to K Ward Radio, which is my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. KWardRadio.com is my website. Sign up, do all of that. And if you don't, shame on you. It only takes a second, y'all. But you know what? I don't want to waste any more time. I'm ready to get the show started. So let's kick off Artist Talk right now.
live from WKRW. Welcome to Artist Talk, a live one-on-one conversation with your host, the man with the golden voice, Jazzie K. Ward.
Thank you so much to my bestie, Nicole, aka Ona B. Do you know Ona B? You should get to know her. Make sure you follow her on social media. So to kick off the show, I'm ready to get started. My special guest tonight is Roberto Vally. Born and bred in New York, he exploded on the music scene at the age of 9. Now, his parents were amazed by his enthusiasm toward music when he was just in diapers, y'all. But it was his fourth grade music teacher that discovered his natural born gift and perfect pitch of uncanny aptitude for the acoustic bass. Maybe he can teach me that a little bit. Maybe so. Okay. Uh, he attended a high school of music and art depicted in the famed film in 1980 film. Continuing his education in music theory and classical bass, he attended the highly acclaimed Juilliard School. Wow. Now, Roberto has performed all over the world. He's performed and recorded with some amazing artists like George Benson, Boney James, Marion Meadows, Larry Carlton, David Benoit, Boz Scaggs, Kirk Whalum, Bobby Caldwell, Patty Austin, huge groove. Okay, this man has done everything. I'm just going to throw this back. These amazing artists. I told y'all he had that it factor. And he also has a new single. We're going to talk about that. I love B Train Express. And I also love Long Flight Home. I love all of that. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's welcome to Artist Talk, bassist, recording artist, and songwriter, Roberto Vally. Hey, my friend.
Hey, Jazzie. Thanks so much for having me on your show, and just have a nice talk together and catch up, and tell you what's been going on, and I look forward to speaking to getting to know your audience. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm so happy, and if you have questions or comments for our guests, please put them there in the comments section. Make sure you put where you are streaming from. We're streaming live on Facebook. We're on my YouTube channel. We're on Soul TV. We're on the Roku network. And we're also on Twitter, formerly, X now, whatever the name is. All right. So again, make sure you put those comments there. But Roberto, I want to tell you, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to kind of hang out with Jazz.
Yeah, man. I think it's a nice way to hang out. Been very busy doing a lot of different things, getting ready for a couple of my older kids to come home from a vacation with their mom in Scandinavia.
Oh,
and
wow.
get ready to go out of town. I can talk about that more later, but this is relaxing for me just to sit around and kick it with my friends.
I appreciate that. But I'm sure you are a very busy man. So I know you're a very busy man. And so again, thank you so much. You have been on, this is my 7th season of doing this platform. And so I initially started Artist Talk because kind of during the pandemic, I was like, people are at home, we're quarantined, we're locked in the house, but I wanted to profile artists that I know have that it factor. I know there are major platform artists, but that wasn't my go-to for that. I always look for the artists that I feel that are kind of when you have the main artist, but what about the bass player or the background vocalist or the drummer?
Well, you would refer to them, I guess, as I'm not to toot my horn, but they're kind of like whether it's me or whether it's Darrell Williams or whether it's Ralph McDonald, who played percussion with Grover Washington. They're kind of like unsung heroes, but at the end of the day, when you look at credits on albums and you see, Now Till Forever, Kirk Whalum, Roberto Vally co-wrote that song. Morning, Noon, and Night, Bob James. Oh, look, I see Roberto Vally. And then from going as a kind of a sideman session player into co-writing and now writing and producing for myself and other people, it's been a nice graduation, going different things, growing new branches from the same musical tree.
Oh, right. Yeah. What a great way to put that. And when you're talking about music, and I'm glad you brought up about like the CD credits. I'm a young man, but I have an old soul. Okay. And
Yeah.
so what I miss, Roberto, when it comes to music, you can't really buy CDs anymore. And a lot of artists will, Jazzy, I don't produce CDs because people don't buy it. But what I miss is to open up the CD sleeve. I
Mhm.
read the CD sleeve from the front to the back.
Hmm.
I go through the songs. I want to know who the writer, the percussionist, the composer, producer,
Yeah.
because that's how you get to know
Sure.
people and who these people are. And you'll be surprised until you mentioned that about Kirk Whalum. I had no idea that Roberto Vally helped co-write some of those songs.
Yep. I got a mess of them, Jazzy. I got a mess. I only dropped a couple, but
Right.
I can't tell you how blessed I feel to have met some people that I've met and been able to, work on that craft for other people. I just, if I can, want to talk about
Mhm.
something this week, a song that I co-produced with Carol Albert. It's called Sunshine Yellow. It is my fifth number one Billboard co-write, and it's also number one on Mediabase. So
Wow.
this is number 5 for little old Roberto, and I'm so thrilled.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so
I,
that's news I wanted to give to you and to everybody else. Yeah.
I appreciate that. My friend Carol Albert, and I love that song. I also played that song on the beach, and
Oh.
I played your song Blue Horizon. I'm an
Mhm.
early bird, so I think I got up, Roberto, maybe about 5:15, 5:20. I was walking on the beach, and I played your song Blue Horizon as I was walking through the sand. And
Yeah.
I had no idea that you were of that song. So, Kara, I play her music. And so
Mhm.
thank you so much for such a
She
beautiful song.
she is the queen of like smooth jazz. One of those staples. They adore her.
Right.
And Sunshine Yellow. Yeah, we collaborated back and forth on that song. I gave her an idea, a little harmonic idea and a drum groove, and then she loaded on a bunch of keyboards and pianos, and then I took it and I kind of like molded it and arranged what she sent me into the song that you're hearing now, and added my bass, and we went back and forth from LA to Atlanta.
Okay.
And yeah, and then she got my buddy Peter, who plays on Blue Horizons too. So
Wow.
the small world, but he was featured on Carol's song, featured on my song, and that song incidentally got on Sirius XM Watercolors.
Wow.
Okay, you sitting down without a radio promoter. They just added it, which is
Wow.
like the Immaculate Conception. It's not. It's never supposed to happen that way.
Happened that way. Yeah. Because I never heard of that really happening that way, Roberto, until well, I always tell people what's the politics probably behind a lot of music to get on these mainstream platforms, but that
Well,
is
I only know the platform honestly of
Mhm.
like the people that I worked with from my early days with Michael Franks and Spyro Gyra, Boss Skaggs,
Yeah.
to meeting Bobby Caldwell and playing with him for nearly 3 decades, and knowing Paul Brown, who like who's the baby face of the smooth jazz producers, put me on hundreds of songs, taken a lot of my songs and got them placed.
Wow. That's
Uh, I'm thinking like 3 out of my 5 Billboard number ones were stuff that I gave him, and he touted off to like Kirk Whalum and Bob James and Richard Elliott. Lip
wow.
service were things that I gave to Paul,
Wow.
my embryos, if you will, and then
Okay.
Paul took them to the next level, and then and the rest is history.
Wow.
So.
That's amazing. So how important, Roberto, do you think it's for artists and for newer artists that are out here today? How important has it been building relationships in this business?
Well, obviously, it's it's really, really darn important to build relationships, whether, there's different ways to go about it. I think with me, it's just been sheer amount of, years and decades in the genre from my early days with Spyro Gyra.
Right.
And I remember and then I was playing with Bobby Caldwell, and like Kenny G opened up for us. Okay.
Wow.
Back when I was with Spyro, Dave Koz opened up for Bobby Caldwell. As I was just at his house rehearsing today for a tour of the Philippines. David Benoit, he was opening up for Michael Franks when I played with Michael. So, you meet people. Sometimes they remember you, or you remember them. Of course, I'm going to remember when I met Bobby, or I met David. Whatever. Walking into George Benson's dressing room and say, "Hey, I played on your song, we never met, but Softly as the Morning Sunrise." Yeah, that's me, Mr.
Yeah.
You just naturally build them over time. I think that it's so beautiful when it's not forced, and this circle of people, all of a sudden there's one that intertwines with your other circle of people that and it's. Yeah, I guess that just naturally can build up, I think. Yeah, so it's definitely important. I don't know many people who can just do it all by themselves, like little hermits. I'm most of the stuff that I do, I may have the idea of it, but I'm always collaborating and using a co-writer of sorts.
Okay. I like that. And so everybody just tuning into the show, host Jazzy K. Ward. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Our special guest tonight is bassist, songwriter Roberto Vally. And his website, it will also be streaming there at the bottom of the screen. Make sure you go over to the website, check it out. I'm sure there's probably some merchandise, some things. And you know what? Just download some music. It's important. Download some music, share the music. There's a website right there. It's available for you to go and get some music. How about that? So I do this segment called the review, and I'm going to ask you 3 questions.
Okay.
Just for the guests to get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me the most common things your friends and family will say about you.
Oh my gosh. Ooh, friends and family would say about me, huh? Well, I think that the genuine consensus would be I'm a little crazy.
Okay.
I think that would be something, like following, me around. Roberto, sweet guy, loves his kids. Yeah. I think that would be a no-brainer.
Okay.
I don't know. I would hope they'd say some good things. They know my good friends, people, my family. They know my heart.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and yeah.
Okay. So, you made a movie about your life.
Okay. Hey, just tell you, Jazzy, your audio, your microphone it's a little it's kind of wobbling, and I'm looking at my phone, and I have like 5 stars, and I got full Wi-Fi.
Okay.
So I'm just wondering if it's me or you.
Okay. You're testing 1, 2. Is that better or the same?
It's about the same, but sometimes like so I'm not getting every word. So I don't know if that's something on my end, if I should turn off my Wi-Fi or what, or I should get on my computer, or but let's see. Let's try question number 2, and they can cut it or edit it, whatever. I don't hear you now.
Let's see. Are we back? Okay.
We're back.
Question number 2, Roberto. If I made a movie about your life, what would the title be? Would it be a comedy or drama?
Okay, ask that question one more time, Jazzy, because you're kind of going in and out.
I don't think I can hear you now, Roberto.
Uh-oh. We got problems, huh? Let me see if maybe I should get off my Wi-Fi. I don't know why all of a sudden we're can you hear me now?
Audio. No, I can't hear you.
You cannot.
I can't hear you, Roberto. You want to try to go out the room and come back in? I don't know if you can hear me.
Let me try to get off my Wi-Fi perhaps, okay?
No.
Yeah.
It happens. Everybody, please forget to share the live. If you have questions or comments for our guest, make sure you please post them there.
Is that any better?
Let's see.
Hello?
No, I can't hear you.
Oh, this is brutal.
I'm going to try to leave out of the room, and then I am going to come back. Let's see.
Okay. And I'm going to maybe, find this email on my computer.
Testing 1, 2.
And see if it maybe works
Nothing.
better.
Let's see.
Sorry.
Let's see.
Hello. I'm going to just keep talking so you can kind of hear me.
Testing. Can you hear me, Roberto?
I hear you kind of in. Oh.
1, 2. Let's see if I can leave, and I'm going to come right back. Sure. Some technical difficulties here. Let's hear you. Try something else. Just
Hello. Can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you now.
I hear you. Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. It's technology. Sometimes these things happen.
It's still like your words. Things will cut in and out. I don't know if you're getting a steady stream of my I'm trying to go back on my Wi-Fi and see as if this is any better. Hey, now let's talk.
Is that better?
Hello.
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 Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Jazzy.
Hey, can you hear me, Roberto?
I hear you.
Okay. So, can you hear me clear?
Let's try to get a question.
Okay. So, if I made a movie about your life, what would the title be? And would it be a comedy or a drama?
Oh gosh. Well, let's see a title. The 9 lives of Roberto. How about that?
I like that.
I've lived. I've lived like 9 lives already.
I like that, Roberto. Another question. What's your favorite song to dance to and why?
Oh gosh. Well, when I'm playing my bass, I'm dancing. So it's any song that I'm actually playing at the time that I can get a little hump in it and a groove. But, oh gosh, I don't know. I think it would have to be going back to, the disco days and me in Brooklyn, see like the Tramps or, I don't know. Because that's when like dancing was like, that's like when I learned to dance. I wasn't really learning Italian tarantellas and stuff. But when when I watched the Tramps play in Brooklyn, at the Brooklyn Zoo, and they're doing like Disco Inferno and that kind of thing. Yeah, or I don't know if that was the Tramps. Remember the Tramps, that disco band?
I remember that. I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, the Tramps and Kool and the Gang, and that's the stuff. But I'd have to say Disco Inferno. Okay, how about that?
Okay, I love that. I love that. So for answering those questions, it wasn't too bad, was it?
No, man. Give me your worst. Go ahead. Put me on the spot. I'm ready.
That was all for that segment of The Real You. So again, thank you so much. Thank you all for watching the show, putting your comments there. And it could be, the streaming. We're having some bad weather here in Alabama, so that could be some of the issues with some of the streaming. So thank you all so much for bearing with us tonight. Don't forget to follow Roberto. He also has a new song out called D-Train Express, which is his latest release. And just to go back a little bit, Roberto, this tragedy or this episode that happened across America was called the pandemic.
Yes.
And during that time, how did the pandemic affect you and your family?
Well, from my children who, still in school, my three that were here, it was pretty devastating. Really knocked my kids off her best life access, plans. Professionally, I'd say close to 60 dates in about a month just dominoed off concert dates. So it affected me very badly. I really felt in a way like I was put in a jail cell, and yeah, that was pretty brutal. The upside was I sought refuge in my studio and I worked. I remember doing a CD release party for this kid, great saxophonist. He lives in Las Vegas now, Justin Young, and he asked me when we did the CD release party. He said, "Man, can you write me a song like you wrote for Kirk Whalum, Never Forever? One of my favorite songs. I'd love a groove like that." So I thought, well, I can borrow for myself and I can make that in that flavor, Justin. And that was the first thing that I did where I co-wrote and I gave it to somebody directly, not through another producer that I gave my song to and they got it played, So I did a song for Justin and I was a very prolific couple of years there. That's all I could just, go from my yard, walk to my little bungalow, turn on my studio and just churn out songs. And it bore a lot of fruit, Jazzy. That was the good side of it. And it made me reflect on the career that I had thus far and just looking at it and going, well, you know what, if it's meant to be closed, that you've done work. And then starting to work, writing and producing for myself and other people, thinking about radio, because I had made 3 albums since 2012 and really didn't care. And then look at Blue Horizons, a song that I think that would do anything on commercial radio, got picked up by Watercolors. So that just goes to show you what I know.
Right, I understand. What a beautiful song, Blue Horizons. I remember when I first heard that, and I always tell people, how can you not like jazz music, right? Jazz, I can remember from a little boy growing up, people like, how did you get so much into jazz? Well, my mom and dad and my grandfather and grandmother really loved jazz. So I think when my mom was carrying me, she always listened to music. And that's why I had such a love for jazz music and music overall. And when I hear music like yours, Roberto, that's why I say, shame on you if you don't know who Roberto Vally is. Shame on you. I love that.
Well, there's a lot of great music out there. There's a lot of great stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so everybody, thank you so much for watching the show. I'm Jazzie K. Ward. Special guest tonight is bassist and songwriter Roberto Vally. Make sure you follow him. His website is streaming throughout the show. We are going to take a short break. Don't forget, we have Dr. G, Dr. Chantel Graham, does a segment on the show, Mind, Body, and Soul. Of course, she will give you your health tip. And we're going to come back with a little bit more conversation with Roberto Vally right here on Artist Talk. Thank you. So make sure you check out music from Mr. Mike Murray also. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. We're talking with our special guest tonight, bassist and songwriter, Roberto Vally. And he has a new release. His latest release is called D-Train Express. And if you don't have it, if you didn't download it, shame on you. So Roberto, we were talking about music. We were talking about jazz. And when you think about jazz, I want to ask you this question. Why should people care about jazz music?
Well, besides the fact that it's a very pure American art form, you know, not to say that the elements, you know, were made here, but the combination of things that came from Africa, from Europe, you know, the African rhythms and Ravel, Stravinsky, you know, and those modern 20th century composers, and you know, jazz coming from the blues. It's really one of the true American art forms. You look at like standards written by, you know, the great writers, you know, that these songs, you know, like a great work by Beethoven or Mozart, they're going to be singing it in 200 years to come. But yeah, jazz for me is a big melting pot, like our country is. So that's why I would say that it's important to have an appreciation for, you know, jazz. I think jazz is such a broad word, and people can interpret it different ways. You know, there's smooth jazz that our genre is called. They used to call it contemporary jazz, or, you know, fusion. But some jazz is pretty aggressive, if you will, avant-garde, and it's different, but it's definitely coming from the same, you know, tree. I grew up in New York, so it was a huge melting pot in terms of, you know, the rock and roll that I was exposed to, the pop music, the soul music, the disco music. You know, I guess part of rap developed in New York, and
Right.
And I was, you know, I was kind of there for it, and go the likes of Marcus Miller and people like that. Definitely my ear to the rail as far as, you know, what was happening. Yeah, but I love jazz from the early blues, the early bluesmen, and Charlie Parker to Miles Davis. Woo, Miles Davis, John Coltrane. That for me is the jazz that I cut my teeth on, you know, and I think the contemporary jazz has put a kind of a backbeat on it and kind of bridged it with R&B and soul, and you can have a shaker of Latin, of Afro-Cuban, or it could be more of a Brazilian thing, kind of like Fire and Water, you know. That's like such a hybrid, you know, groove, you know. Is it R&B? Is it Latin? It's Latin B. I don't know, you know. So I hope I'm not talking too much.
Oh no, you're fine. Because I wanted to ask you, like, you growing up in your younger days, did you grow up with a lot of music in your house? And did you know that this is the career field that Roberto wanted to? Did you see this in your life? Is this something that you wanted to do growing up?
Yeah, well, in a word, yeah. And I'll tell you you know, how I went from yeah. So my parents had a Victrola. I was enamored with that Victrola. You know, it was one of those that was like built into like a liquor cabinet, and it also held albums, and it had a speaker in it, and you lifted up the top, and it was like a piece of furniture. It was beautiful walnut, and I'd wait for my dad. I was 2-3 years old, you know, in an apartment in Brooklyn, and I would wait for my dad to leave. The story goes, and I would put on his opera records, you know, because that's just what they had. So I would just love to. And my mother would tell me, I would just like look at the vinyl, just spinning around and listening to Puccini or Verdi or, you know, the Barber of Seville, whatever. That's what my dad listened to. And then they got me jails, and I had a guitar, and I studied piano, JAZZIE, and I didn't discover the double bass until the tender old age. I was in the 4th grade, and they chose me for my superior ears, you know. I got asked to join the orchestra, and the first day of class, the teacher gives me a bass, a big stand-up bass, and you know, I could recreate it with my bass right here, but I just played the open G and D string, you know, here, you know, and he just wanted me to do this over again. I don't know if you can hear that. Dum 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 dum, and then he made the class sing Farah Jacques, Farah Jacques, Dome. And that little bass line that I was playing worked perfectly in the song the whole way through. And I remember I was 9 years old, first day of orchestra, and I was doing this, and I just thought to myself, I feel like I'm united with an old friend. Like the double bass felt so comfortable, and I just played it like I knew her from another life. And I'm not into like the reincarnation thing or whatever, but it was like I went like 2 feet off the ground, and I knew then that I adored the bass. Everything after that day was all about the bass. And when I heard that song a couple of years ago, it's all about the bass, I'm like, yeah, it took you, you know, 50 years to figure that out. I know, I've known that for a long time. Oh, wow. So I ate, drank, smoked, you know, sniffed bass and bass fiddle and bass guitar, and every kind of genre that I listened to, whether it was Earth, Wind and Fire or the Beatles or Chicago or the Doobie Brothers, it all had some driving bass, you know, Elton John, Marvin Gaye, you know, and I'm just listening to you know, oh my gosh, you know, listen to what that bass is doing. And that's what I heard. I didn't care about the melody, the singer. I was just listening to the line.
I love that. I love that, Roberto, because I feel like I'm going to ask you this. When you were like out of high school, and once you're in high school or got out of high school, I feel like you had a band. Did you ever form a band with a group of guys in your earlier days?
I was asked to join a pre-existing band. It was the only band besides like a cover band, like when I was in high school, and we used to play block parties and Sweet 16. But we did songs of the day, you know.
Right.
God bless you, you make me feel brand new. We did all the yeah, we did all the hits. But this band that I met in the Florida, when I was a bassist in a jazz band there, a house bassist, they asked me to join their band. We're from Tuscaloosa.
Oh, wow.
They were called Forecast, and they were experimenting, mixing, much like Mother's Finest. They, not that they were a Mother's Finest cover band, but they had a mixture of Southern rock and funk, and what if Ricky Lee Jones had a love child with Chaka Khan, you know, like that kind of thing. And we were mixing it up. So 3 years I did that in my early 20s, and I played all around the Southeast, ate a great barbecue.
Okay. I love that, Roberto. I love that. And so, you know, moving forward, when you talk about your music, D-Train Express. But before we get into that, I want to play a snippet, Chef, if we have that. I want to play a snippet of the song D-Train Express. And I want everyone to hear it. And while you're listening to it, please go and download it. Wherever music is streaming, you can hear this song all over. So let's take a listen at Roberto's hit D-Train Express right here. Woo! That's a jam, Roberto. That's a jam. Like, okay, where did you record that? And
yeah. Well, I had the idea of the song. I found some nice chords like in the intro, and I just brought that over with a drum loop that I really liked, and brought it over to Mark Etheridge, who's a accomplished smooth jazz writer. He's had some songs out on radio, and we worked on the song, putting parts together in terms of like, okay, this is kind of like the taste of the song. Where are we going to go from it? So here we got this. We're going to go this way, or you know, how do we build? And that's what we did. So we worked in his house, and then he sent me all the stems that we worked on back to my place, and then I started fiddling with it, adding things, adding my bass, getting some ideas together for the, you know, for melody, and I collaborated on that also, and yeah, just layering it like a lasagna. Yeah,
okay. I like that. So I was going to ask you. My next question is like, what's your creative process like when do you just say, well, you know, I need to work on a new song, and so when you say I'm going to work on a new release, what's that process? Are you gradually writing things and then you build from there? How does that work?
Sometimes I'll hear a melody and I'll like sing it into my phone to kind of like remember it, like, oh wow, that's kind of cool. Or I'm thinking, or I hear a beatbox, or I hear like a bass line from something I'm hearing, and then I maybe put my own spin on it, and I may do like beatbox in a phone with a bass line, you know. And most of my songs come from bass lines, although D Train Express, the essence of it came just with those intro chords, and I just thought, wow, that's so cool. And then when I added, you know, the drum, I just saw something very, very upbeat about it, and it reminded me of growing up in New York City, and I used to ride the D train to go to music, you know, high school and art. I rode that sucker, you know, an hour each way, just the train. Forget about the bus I needed to take,
Right.
the walking I had to do, but to go to that school, baby, it was worth it. Yeah.
I love that. And, you know, just to go back a little bit, Roberto, when you think about this music industry and whether you're on a major label, you're not on a label, and I know you've been in this game for quite some time. How do you feel? What do you feel about the music industry? And do you feel it has drastically changed maybe from when you first started?
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, it's totally changed. I mean, I'm in my early 60s, and so when I was starting out, forget it. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have, home computers for recording. You can make a whole, you know, in the box. You know, that it's changed so much, and you know, budgets, getting record deals, as opposed to now, it's like 180. It did a degree, actually, you know, and I'm on a label per se, that this record label in Florida, Woodward Avenue Records. We've had a friendship and an agreement where I'm just releasing singles with them, and they are the master rights owner, but I retain art royalties and royalties, you know, both writer and publishing for the stuff that I write, and unless I'm doing, like I did a version of a Pee Wee Ellis song years ago called "The Chicken," and I was, of course, it was a cover. So yeah, it's changed a lot. I don't think really I was part of that scene, part of that as an artist when back in the day. I was the guy getting hired to play on the session, or hired to do the tour or do that concert with that artist.
Okay.
But I remember being like how it's changed. A lot of stuff that I did in the early days, Boney James, and it was all run through the union. It was like, you know, double statutory rate. You know, you get a double. You know, and now with home studios, yeah, I've honorary discharged myself from the music union. I don't really need to, after 3-4 decades in it. I back out, and I'm happy to be doing what I'm doing it, as of just me, Roberto, at my stage in my life where I'm doing shows, I'm doing recording, I'm doing production and producing. Yeah, I mean production, writing for other people and for myself. I think that's pretty good, getting in the game as I did for that sort of thing.
Okay. I like that. And so your latest project, and so let our audience know any tour dates. What are you currently working on? And when is the next time we can see you perform somewhere live?
Well, I'm playing at Jazz at the Pines tomorrow night with a great jazz vocalist, Rose Corella. and that's actually the venue that we're playing is in Temecula, called the Merc. And that's tomorrow night.
I think, Roberto, you have frozen, my friend. So we lost Roberto again, everyone. This has been such a great show. Again, I'm your host, Jazzie K. Ward. I'm sure Roberto, he will log back on, but don't forget to go over to his website, Roberto Vally, robertovally.com. His latest release is D-Train Express. And Chef, I have another song called Long Flight Home that I would love to play. And maybe Roberto will somehow pop back into the live before we end the show. And you will love this song called Long Flight. So let's. Yay. Welcome back to the show, Roberto.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back. I was playing the song Long Flight Home, and before we lost connection there, you were telling us about a show that you're performing tomorrow night.
Yes. Well, I'm going to be flying tomorrow, and we'll get over the next day because it's a 15-hour flight. Okay. I'm playing with David Benoit in Manila at a beautiful hotel resort with a casino. It's called the Solaire, and we're playing with, I guess, some of the Filipino elite smooth jazz artists. I do not even know their names yet, but I can tell you about it when I get back. But I'll be doing that with David. We have 2 days of rehearsal and a big night of performance, a gala, if you will. And then I'll be doing shows with David in the second week in August. We have a couple of dates at Yoshi's. Okay. They can look at David's calendar, and they can see the nights that we're playing at Yoshi's. We have a show in San Jose on August the 9th, day after I get back from a vacation in Italy. So good things ahead.
Good things ahead. I love that, my friend. Continued success to you, your music, and you definitely, as we say on the show, Roberto Vally definitely has that it factor. And if you didn't know this man, shame on you. So hopefully, after watching, for those who are watching live and who go back and watch the replay, hopefully you'll get to learn about Roberto a little bit better. And Roberto, that means you have to come back after like all the traveling, and you're going to have to update us on everything.
Would love to. And please, any listener that has any questions, they could, look me up on social media and on Messenger, whatever, Roberto Vally. If they have any questions or whatever they'd like to, tell me, go ahead, man, it's time. You need to, bow out and retire right now. Or whatever they want to tell me. It's all good. but yeah, I'd welcome any questions or any feedback at all. Yeah.
Any other I always like to ask my guests, any tidbits that you can share with us, that's something that's coming down the pipeline?
Yeah. Well, I just co-wrote and produced a song for Greg Chambers.
Oh, wow.
And I'm very, very proud of it. It's going to be, I don't know when they're going to release it, but it's just been mixed and just been mastered. And stay tuned for that. I think that's going to make a big splash. And I'm working on my next ditty that'll be probably coming out in the fall, sometime September-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm usually like dropping one in the fall and one in the spring.
Okay.
And so with God's help, I'll get those done. And yeah, I got a nice Christmas tour I'll be looking forward to be doing with David,
Okay.
with the music of David Giraldi and the Charlie Brown Christmas and all that.
Wow.
That's fun. Get to travel around the country and do that. And yeah, be writing songs for other people, and just keep churning out the hits.
Yeah, I know you are definitely doing that, my friend. I mean,
Can I gloat a little bit on some of the, you mentioned a few people, but I'd like to, just let your audience know maybe in the past, year or so, like, of course, Sunshine Yellow with Carol Albert, Marion Meadows on the Uptown, this song of Najee's that I'm really proud of called Bounce.
Okay.
I co-wrote that, and a beautiful song by Jeff Ryan called Where There's Hope. And actually I named that.
Oh, wow.
I just got got a good one right off the top, and they used it. So I'm really happy to have all these different fingers in all these different pies, and I wish if it continues, that'll be great. I mean, I'm having a ball doing it.
Oh, I can tell, my friend. I can tell. Now, I mean, in my final question too.
Yes, sir.
I know you work with so many amazing people and artists. Is there anybody, like, say, on your bucket list that you just like you haven't had the opportunity to work with that you want to work with?
Sure. Yeah. Ooh. There's so many great players. I do you know, I think her name is Candace Springs. You know Candace?
Of course.
Yeah. I did some work at a jazz festival in the fall with Rebecca Jade also, and she was a lot of fun to play with. Wow. Sure, I'd love to play with Sir Paul, just because yeah. I'd love to play with Sting. I'd love to sit in with Earth, Wind and Fire with my good friend who plays sax, Gary Bias. But I think I think about people that are no longer with us that I would have loved to have maybe play with.
Right.
Maybe I could play with his son. I'm talking about like Bob Marley. I love Ray. I mean, if you like bass, how could you not like reggae music? Right. It's all about the all that stuff. So yeah.
Do you remember a CD, a project out they did for it was called A Twist of Marley?
That rings a bell. I couldn't tell you anything on it, but I remember that title. So yeah. Really? I remember that title.
Yeah, it's a great. Like Lisa Fisher was on there. I don't know if Peter White was on there. Jeff Gold, but it was such a nice jazz CD.
Very good.
Yeah, that's a nice. So, and when I hear you, I'll just say, let me go back and read, because I wanted to make sure that maybe you were on that CD and I just missed it. So that's fine.
I don't think I was on. Not that I know of. I mean, I've been on plenty of Peter White records and a few others, but I don't remember playing on that one.
You remember playing on that one? I know, my friend, but you have played on so many, and again, you are a friend of the show over here on Artist Talk. And please always come back on the show, okay, Roberto?
Anytime, Jazzy, you ask me, and I'm around. I'll make the time for you.
I appreciate that, my friend. Anything else you want to share with our listeners? And again, let them know the best place to find you on social media.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm old school. I'm on Facebook as artist. I'm also on Spotify. I do a lot of videos lately when I'm in town for Norm's Rare Guitars. So you can see me playing with a bunch of great, people from Joey Bonamassa to the Nelson Twins and a lot of like indie artists. And they just like come into Norm's, and Norm will pair me up with them, and they'll play their song, and I'll write a little cheat sheet, and then we're recording. So I'm on a lot of Norm's Rare Guitars on Spotify. But my music's all on all the streaming platforms, Apple Music and Pandora, Spotify, and and my CDs are available on my website. You can reach out to me for those if you want to get a hard copy and hear really deep Roberto Vally stuff.
Okay, I love that, my friend.
Too hip for the radio. Well, I don't want to say that, but you know what I'm saying.
I understand. Roberto, can you stick around for 1 minute for me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you so much. Hey, everybody, another great show with our special guest, bassist, recording artist, songwriter Roberto Vally. Again, thank you so much to Chef D. Thank you so much to Dr. G, Dr. Chantel Graham, Mind, Body, and Soul on the show. And thanks to each and every one of you. Again, we're in our 7th season of Artist Talk. I know we had a little technical difficulties. It's streaming, y'all. It's live. It happens sometime. But another great conversation with another amazing artist here on the platform. I hope you have a great rest of the week. Make sure you take care of yourself and always be kind to others. You can always find me each and every Saturday on WVAS FM 90.7, Alabama State University. Again, all of my information is there. My YouTube channel, please go subscribe and like the page. kwardradio.com is my website. If you would like to support the show, mail me projects of yours. My mailing address is listed there. And if you would like to support the show, that information is listed there too. Again, thank you so much for another great show and a great conversation. We'll see you next time.
Hi, this is saxophonist D. Lucas, and you have just watched Artist Talk with my man, JAZZIE K. Ward. Hey, check him out every Monday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on his Facebook Live or YouTube. And if you don't, shame on you.
Artist Talk. It's the JAZZIE K. Ward coming at ya.